record. Okay, so that brings us to our lesson today. I love this week. This week is great. This week is very practical. I mean, last week was too. Resumes are important, but in this week, this is how you can really set yourself apart from other applicants when you're applying for a job. And that's because everybody puts in resumes, and we've got that Walmart example that our department tells all business management majors to follow. And so everybody does that. The resumes look the same very often. You can't even put your picture on there anymore, which is a good thing for most of you. But the resume, on the other hand, that's where you differentiate yourself. And I have extra appreciation for these because I spent all morning going through applications. So I've been walking through like people that can teach a business law class online, and I get all the resumes. They look fairly typical, the same, but then I get some cover letters that are just incredible, and that moves them up into my, like, let's definitely look at these people file. Whereas based on the resume alone, it may not happen. Okay, so we've got that. The other thing we'll talk about today are thank you letters, which again, like these are things that if you don't do, you've got an uphill battle to get a job. If you do them and you know how to do them well, it sets you apart. And again, when we're hiring people, like here at the school or corporate jobs that I've been at, when we get the thank you letter, it's like, oh, they're really interested. And if they're borderline, it moves them up. On the flip side, if we don't get a thank you letter from somebody, it's kind of like, maybe we don't consider this person. Like maybe they don't really care. So sending a thank you letter at the end of a interview, or even better, because you have a little bit more leeway with this if it's after a informational interview, so like not a job interview, you're just chatting with somebody, networking, then you can send like gifts and stuff and it doesn't look like a bribe, but then they'll always love you forever. So we'll talk about that as well. So okay, let me pop this up and we'll get started with just, again, because you haven't heard me say this enough, with active voice. I still see it. Now in the resume, sometimes things just become active voice because you start with the adjective, and so I'm not too concerned about resumes. Cover letters and everything else that we cover for the rest of the semester, active voice, like you're going to go over this a million times. And really the key here is you're just going to have like the verb as close to the noun as possible. Well, I guess here the noun is leaves. So dead leaves covered the ground is better than there were a great number of dead leaves lying on the ground. Again, if you're writing a Jane Austen novel, cool, go with the first one. But like that paints a picture of that love lost or whatever. But here again, business class, dead leaves covered the ground. It's just easier. Our minds can grasp active voice faster than this. Now this is great. Like if you want to do mental exercises and walk somebody through and make them feel, rather than like the whole English department is all about show, don't tell. This is English 301. This is business 301. We don't care about how you feel. Your feelings don't matter anymore. Like what's going on? All right. That's what's going on here. Again, this horse has been dead for like 3 weeks, but I'm still going to beat it. Okay. The other thing that I see occasionally are like double negatives or just these kind of odd statements. Like he was not very often on time. That makes sense in your head. But for slow people like me, I'm like, he's not often on time. Oh, he's late. Like I have to translate it in my head. And so, yeah, we can do this. Like, let's put it in a positive statement, but passive voice. He was frequently late. The was is kind of always your tip off that we're talking, or that we're using passive voice, as opposed to he frequently arrived late, or frequently he arrived late. Might even be even bestest. Oh, whatever. I'm moving on. Now, on the other hand, overwriting is a problem, and it will be a problem for you. You'll be tempted to do this later on in the semester when you're writing memos. A memo will be a call to action within the business, for example. We used to send around inter-office memos. Well, not me, I'm not that old, but nowadays we have this cool new thing called email, so inter-office memos aren't a thing. But with the memo, a call to action, maybe you're going to be recommending a new marketing tactic or a sales technique or opening a new office in a new city. In those types of situations where part of your goal is to persuade your boss or other decision makers in the company to do something, you will be very tempted to overstate, exaggerate. I've seen this where people are like, the last sentence or the first sentence is, if we want to stay viable, or unless we want to close all of our doors forever, we must do this. That's the exaggeration. That's the overstatement. Be careful with it, because if you do that, this is very much the Chicken Little, sky is falling type of a situation. You lose credibility. That's one of my main concerns with overwriting. And then what I was just talking about was actually overstating. Overwriting, you know about, like we've talked about that enough. Cut out all the junk that you're putting in there. But overstating is very common in business language, business writing. Why? Well, it's fairly simple. You did a lot of research. You came up with a suggestion. You want them to adopt it. Just be careful about how you present it, so that you don't lose credibility. You may have great points, but it'll get diminished, hidden in your hyperbole simply because of those overstatements. Okay. So I'm going to start, like the thank you note is the 12-point assignment this week. This is the one that is fairly simple. I want you to write a thank you note to somebody after, like put yourself in the shoes of, you just finished an interview or an informational interview. But if you actually just had one of these, you're welcome. I'm going to show you, I think, what is it's my magic technique. I'm going to turn this a little bit so you can see. Because this is my formula for thank you letters. Has anybody done this and had some positive feedback on writing a thank you letter? I'm so glad you're in this class. Okay, so it was just what? So you're the one that sent the thank you letter? Awesome. 3 sentences long and it still got you something? Well, no, I didn't. Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna teach you how to write a better thank you letter. All right. And I use this formula. I think it works great. And it works in every situation. Okay. So imagine your last interview. All right. So go back in time to whenever that was. I'm doing the same thing. All right. In that interview, did any of you, like how many of you knocked it out of the park 100%, like it was the best interview of your life? All right, Leah did. The rest of us, you could think of something that you could have said better, right? Now I had a couple of interviews like Leah, like they were awesome, and we were BFFs and like chicken dancing. What am I doing? But we were like chest bump. No, none of that. But it was great, and those are awesome. Like when that happens, it's just like magic. It's incredible. I'm guessing that's how you felt, Leah, after that interview. But 90% of the time, I walk out of the interview and I'm like, why did I say that? Kind of like my teaching in class. Like, why did that come out of my mouth? Or oh shoot, like when they asked this question, that was a softball pitch for me to like knock it out of the park with this other thing that I totally forgot to say because I was stressed and thinking about other things. Does this sound more like your most recent, for the rest of you other than Leah, your most recent interview? Okay, good to know. And any thoughts about that? Yeah.
So I got a question. Like, do you think it's more professional? Like, I know some company like send you some questions to be answered, or like I don't know if that's like it's kind of interesting. Like they want you to come up with the answers. So,
Are you talking about like
like interview, and then they send you an email like, "Oh, be prepared for this question."
oh,
Yeah, there's.
well, that's nice.
I don't know if I like it though, because like
Yeah.
I don't know. I would be like, my thought would be limited.
Yeah.
Those questions.
Yeah, yeah, I see what you mean. Like if they send you the questions beforehand, you have more time to prepare, but it's almost like
But they ask you something else.
yeah, that's right. They'll always mix it up anyway. I think the worst, if you've ever done the hypothetical situation type interviews, investment banking does this a lot. I had one interviewer ask me, how many light bulbs are there in Provo, Utah? I was like, what? Anyway, I was like, I'm an English major. What? But those are important. They just want to see your line of reasoning. And I didn't get that job. But yeah, and
I lost you like it was shape. What shape would you be?
like, what's your spirit animal? All those stupid questions that your teachers ask on the first discussion board in the beginning.
I said something and I was like, oh, no, I'm not that shape. Like, well, I'm like, I don't know what that has to do with the job. So I'm like, for future references in case. And then they asked me something if I was a Disney character.
Oh my goodness.
Americans love Disney, like.
Americans do love
Disney.
Disney.
How that goes in sizes. But I know people ask specific questions, like how do you best answer them?
Yeah. So great question. When those odd questions come up, like which animal are you or whatever, what shape? That's a what? The most important thing is, here's my thought, and I'm right because I'm teaching. Sometimes they'll ask these silly questions just to see how you respond to odd situations. Why? You'll probably see lots of odd situations working for every company in the entire country or world. And so often, and here's my thought, like going back in time to my good interviews, they would ask weird questions like that. And I would just like play along, say something funny, like they love that. Because the real point of the interview, if you got to the interview itself, unless they just interview everybody that applies, which is super rare, if you got to the interview, you're qualified. Like you could definitely work there. The key is, will you get along with the personality types that are already there? And so play along with that. Like have some fun. I'm trying to think, like if somebody asked me my favorite Disney princess, I could come up with something funny if you gave me like 3 hours. I wish they would send me that one beforehand. Yeah. So yeah, just have fun with it. And with the really weird ones, just start walking. Like the light bulb one, the key to me nailing that question was I just said, okay, well, your average house has, and I kind of went through how many light bulbs are in a kitchen and a living room and a couple bedrooms, like the average house size for that city. And I came up with some, and I'm like, there's about, I would always use round numbers because I'm an English major and not accounting. So I'd be like, there's let's say 10 houses on a block. and then it was just simple math from there. And they're like, okay, cool. This guy's methodical. And that helped. The other odd one that I was reading about was, this was a real one for Google. They said, if we shrunk you down to be about an inch tall and threw you in a blender and we're about to turn on the blender, how do you survive? Have you guys heard of this one? Yes, it was on a movie. I don't know which movie, but oh, do you guys know the answer? It's quite fascinating. It's designed for like more so you can remember your physics classes. The idea is like if we shrunk a human down to be 1 inch, it's kind of like an ant. We basically have super strength. And so if you shrunk down to an inch, according to this theory, the answer is I would jump out of the blender. And so that's what they want. But you can come up with really creative things. Like some people are like, well, I'd get down at the bottom of the blender and just hide below the thing until it went off or it broke or something. Another person said, well, I'm really good at like skateboarding, so I jump on top of it, like the little dome part, and I just like balance while it spun beneath me and burned your foot off. Friction. But yeah, but really just say you jump out of the blender, and that's how you win that question. I hope one of you gets that. Let me know if you get that question. But yeah, like most people just sit there and they're like, why am I an inch or something? And they start questioning the validity of the question itself. That's not what they want. They want to see your creative and analytical thinking. So even if it's the most bizarre question that you've ever heard, do that. Okay. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. I talk about interviews later, but the thank you. Oh yeah, the thank you letter. That's what we're writing. So we're going to jump ahead to post-interview, and Lee, you're not going to be able to see that if I write over there. I'm going to pull this over here real quick. And you can still see Miranda. All right, so if your page, oh, that is not good. All right. If your page is like this, here's my formula for success when it comes to a thank you letter. So post-interview, you always know who interviewed you. So write one to each person. If it's a committee interview, write it to each person. Send an email to each individual. Don't send these via mail or Pony Express or like whatever they did a long time ago. They would put stamps on these things, and don't do that anymore. That's kind of odd, unless you're applying to work at the Postal Service. Anyway, so you're gonna write like, Dear Miss Smith, the name of the person. Okay, this first paragraph right here, this is what I call the pleasantries. This is what you just have to do every time, otherwise it looks odd. And so anyway, this is the thank you so much, blah, blah, blah. Thanks for the opportunity to meet you. I loved getting to know your company. Just that normal stuff that you see at the beginning of all, like that you would just imagine. That's fine. This, again, you're not going to get any points off of this. This is what you do just to not seem like a psychopath. All right, so again, it's great meeting you. I loved learning about your corporate culture and the job, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so now that we're done with that, like, silly but necessary step, we move to, this really is the moneymaker, this body this main paragraph right in the middle. All right. Oh, I'm just going to label this money. Okay. This is when you get out of the interview and you realize that you screwed up. All right. You walked out and you're like, why did I say I would balance on top of the blender? I should have just jumped off of it or whatever. Or when they asked me about my greatest strengths and I forgot to mention that I won this $1 million award or whatever. Like most of you didn't do that, but I had this great thing and I dropped the ball because I forgot about it. Why? Well, it's normal. You're in a high stress situation. So this is where you fix it. And I always start this paragraph off with something like, I've been thinking. All right, that serves a couple purposes. One, it's a good segue into fixing the mistakes that you made in the interview. All right, that makes sense. The other thing is it's just kind of a subliminal message like, hey, I didn't forget about you once I walked out of the interview. I really want to work there is what this says. I'm still thinking about you. All right, write this the next day, by the way. Like, don't write it 2 seconds after you walk out. Well, maybe write it right after you walk out, but wait to send it until the next morning. That's my advice. But it shows that that person is still on your mind. And they like that. They want to feel important. Now they feel important because you've been thinking about them in a non-creepy, totally platonic way. All All right, I've been thinking about you. And okay, and then you go into fix. I've been thinking about that question that you asked about my greatest strength, and I neglected to tell you about law. And then really what you're doing here, I've told you many times, we're just hardwired to want to hear a story. So you're going to tell a story right here. It's another elevator pitch. It's like you may have talked about, like given that person 10 elevator pitches in the interview, but here's another one. And you're going to knock it out of the park, and you have time to collect your thoughts and write it as eloquently and as effectively as possible right here. Okay. Once you've done that, then there's more pleasantries. You just have to do it. Like here at the bottom, I always recommend putting like, I look forward to hearing from you. I'm so excited about the possibility. And then I also like to just include a little call to action. Like I'll give you for example, you could just say, I'll check in with you in a week to see how things are coming and if I can provide any additional information for you. That you don't want to be too pushy, like, I'm going to call you and we're going to talk about this job or something. Like, there's some tact involved here as well. But just think of it as like a final thanks. Oops, there's an N in there. Thanks. A little call to action. Just let them know that you'll follow up because sometimes they get busy. I think the worst experience I ever had is I interviewed with somebody and they said that they'd call me back in 2 days. And on that second day, I Facebook stalked this person and they were at like Universal Studios going to Harry Potter World. And I'm like, dang it, they're not going to get back to me today. So it's okay to say that you're going to follow up with them because they just get busy. I got that job, by the way, but I didn't even go to Harry Potter World and like accidentally run into him. All right. When all this is over, then you end it with your salutation. Did we talk about this yet? Yeah, no cheerio. Like Edna can get away with that one. Or cheers. I did it once, and it was only because the guy I was writing was in Liverpool, so he did it to me. So I felt justified in doing it back, although he might have been like, silly American. But yeah, this remember, no warmest and kindest and lovingly sent from my heart. But like I've seen a lot of that weird stuff. It makes me concerned to want to change my address. So just regards and then your name. Okay, the thank you letter, fairly simple. This is the 12-point assignment this week, so just have fun with it. You'll write this and submit it. Don't worry about bringing it to our next class. As opposed to, wait, I want to make sure I got everything on this. Be brief but detailed. Yep. Okay, we're good. Now the cover letter. So now, remember the thank you letter. This gets you the job so often. I've just got to say that. This shows that you really care and that you really want it. But let's jump back in time before you even have the chance to send anything to Miss Smith. Oh, by the way, it is Miss. Like, don't ever write Mrs. or anything else. Like, if it's a female, it's just always MS. Dot. Sometimes you try to guess if they're married or something. Like, don't do that. It's just doesn't matter. Miss Smith. Okay, so, but the cover letter. This is kind of fun and interesting. The cover letter, and many of my students tell me, like, I've never been asked to write a cover letter. I never will. Well, that first statement might be true. The second one isn't. You'll have to write a cover letter eventually. And in many of the positions that request a resume, it will indicate that a cover letter is optional. After taking my class, you will always write a cover letter. It's how you personalize the application to you. It's how you add some personality to that otherwise dank and boring resume that looks the same as everybody else's. All right, do it. Okay, I don't know how to say that more forcefully. Do it. Okay, Now, with this one, I have a pretty good formula for success as well. Well, I should be more confident. I have a dang good formula for success with this one. And why don't I show it to you? Okay, so we'll come back to our same letter format over here. And here's how we're going to do it. So if you know who it is that's going to interview you, who is the HR director, who is reviewing resumes, write it out. If it's Miss Smith, write out, "Dear Miss Smith." Sometimes you don't know. You can call the secretary and like find out. It's not, I don't think this is as big a deal as some people make it. If you don't know, then what you'll do is just write, "Dear hiring committee." All right, and if you're writing to a committee, I recommend just putting the what's this called? What are those things called? Nobody knows. Those two dots. I'm an English major. I'm supposed to know that. It'll come to me in a second.
Semicolon?
Well, it's not a semicolon because I don't have the little like. It's just a colon. Yeah, that's it. All right. Not semi. It's just a colon. All right, there we go. So just write, "Dear hiring committee." If you're applying to grad school, put admissions committee. That's standard. That's totally fine. All right. First paragraph. Guess what this is going to be? Now that you're smart and you know what's going on. The pleasantries. This is like the equivalent of the curtsy. I don't know how to curtsy. All right. So again, here, remember, this is part of the application process, not a thank you note. So start off with, "Thank you for considering my application for this position. I'm really excited about it. After doing a lot of research, I think I can benefit your company." Remember, you're selling yourself. Some people get in this wrongful habit of saying like, "I think it's a perfect fit for me," like me statements. They don't care about that. They're hiring because they want you to help them. So always phrase it as such. Okay. So again, thank you for the opportunity, or not the opportunity. Thank you for, what did I say the first time?
Consideration.
Thank you for considering, yeah. Considering my application. And then again, it's just a curtsy, just, "Hello, I'm here. I'm semi-proper and I'm not a psychopath." Okay. Second paragraph. Big surprise. It's my formula, so it's money time again. Now the money paragraph here is going to be a little different than the thank you, but it's still going to be a great story. Your resume, it's just bullet point. It's simple, it's direct, it's concise. But you can't tell the story necessarily about how you did that great bullet point. If the bullet point was that you increased productivity by 53% by implementing new software or something, well, that's great, but it doesn't tell the story of what was behind it. So again, this is just another elevator pitch, but elaborate on your best bullet point that you have in your resume and tell the story behind it. What was your inspiration for taking that action? How did you rally everybody else at the company to work with you to accomplish that great thing? The project at school that you did, the grade that you got, the scholarship that you were awarded, how you overcame adversity. To clue in onto what you should write about here, always go back to the job posting. Find out what their keywords are, what they're looking for, circle those, and then write a story that's gonna fit what it is that they want. Companies spend a lot of time on those job postings. The words that they use are specific for a reason. And so cue in on that and write a story about it. Tell your background. All right, so again, this paragraph usually starts off something like, in reviewing the application process, I see, or application posting, I see that you're looking for somebody that is data-driven and hardworking. Let me tell you about a time I did that, right? And again, it's story time. People love stories. So do it right there. All right. Finally, the last paragraph. And I'm simplifying all of this. This story might be 3 paragraphs, but always keep the cover letter to 1 page, right? Cover letter, I don't care where you are, it never goes over a page. But it looks better if it's about 3/4 of a page to a full page. Just the aesthetics matter here as well. The final, again, this is your, is it a curtsy when you come in and a curtsy when you leave, or is it a bow? We're American. Leia and Edna, we need your help. It's just, yeah, this is I really look forward to interviewing and whatever. That's what you do. Oh, and I almost forgot. In this introductory paragraph, if you have some connection to the company, like maybe you were asked to apply by an employee there, always bring it up right away at the top. Build those connections as soon as you can. Okay. And again, we're doing regards. All right, questions so far? All right. Yeah. Are we gonna, oh yeah, so yeah, good question. So when, Thursday, bring the cover letter is what you will bring to class. That's what we'll review together. So yeah, bring your draft next class period. Okay. The rest of this just basically says what I already told you. Good. A lot of this we've covered. Yeah. I don't want to talk about that. So, but I do want to talk about some important elements, things that will help you when you go in for an interview itself. And today I'm going to talk about the things you can do before the interview to help you have more success in the interview. This was a very famous picture from 2017. President Macron from, how do you pronounce that? What Leia said? Macron. That's so very good. All right. Was visiting the White House, and President Trump was hosting, obviously. And before President, I'm just going to call him Macron. Not macaron. That's a cookie. All right. So President, interesting fellow, by the way. Leia, you know all of this, but I mean, not many people grow up to marry their elementary school teacher. This dude did. She's 67, he's 44. But I love, like, everybody when they talk about it, they're like, well, you know, they're French. Anyways, my last class, they're like, does she look 67? I'm like, actually, no. Like, anyway, interesting couple, but elected president and visiting the White House. And he'd actually been tipped off by the French press and many other heads of state who had said, like, look out for President Trump. Like, he does this weird thing where I would show you, but I don't touch anybody. Like, when he goes to shake your hand, he does this like weird alpha male thing where he like grabs it funny and squeezes hard. And so there's all of these pictures with President Trump shaking people's hands, and they're like, like, what is happening? And so President Macron knew this. And when he went to shake hands, he did it to Trump. So if you look, like, Trump can't even squeeze because his hand is getting squished. And then you can see it on their faces too. Like, Macron's like, gotcha. Anyway, bizarre, interesting thing. But these issues, these body language type situations come up all the time in interviews and outside of interviews, and apparently when you're meeting other heads of state. So it's an important lesson of, like, being aware, not getting your hand squished. And so that's important. And body language shows your confidence shows through if you do have confidence. Now, some of you are like, well, I don't have that much confidence. I'm just a student and I want this really great job, but am I qualified? And blah, blah, blah. All right. Nope, you're not going to do any of that. You're going to have the confidence of President Macron shaking Trump's hand. Okay. Just walk in there and take it. And to help you get there, I saw this interesting presentation about what to do right before you go into an interview. And most people do this. Like 99% of people do this right before the interview, like as you're waiting and you're nervous and you're trying to keep your hands from being too sweaty. I know. And so you're like, keep rubbing them and then you keep watching your phone. You do the exact opposite of what would be beneficial to you. You close up, like once you get your phone in your hand, you're like, you're doing this. Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely evident what's going on just by your body language. Your shoulders are down, you're slumped over, you're looking at something mindlessly. Everything that you have done is going to sabotage your subsequent interview. As opposed to here, this image right here, it's called the Wonder Woman pose. That's it. All right. So you do and guys, you do this too. All right. So you're going to like stand up and you're going to clench your fists and put them on your hips. You're going to breathe in, kind of puff out your chest. This is the Wonder Woman pose. And this will make your interview better. So bizarre, but like they've actually statistically found you have a 33% better chance of getting a job if you just do this for about a minute before you go into the interview. If you're in a room with lots of applicants and they're calling you in one at a time, then you go to the bathroom and you do this. Right? Anyway, I heard a great story about a guy at my law school. He was doing this because it was for a law firm, and he goes into the bathroom and he looks in the mirror and he's like, "You got this." And just then, like, somebody comes out of the stall and they're like, "Good luck." And then it was the person that he was interviewing with. Anyway. So be a little careful who you're doing this around, but do it. Whatever you can do to just stand up, spread your body out a little bit, put your hand on your hips, spread your legs out. Not too much. Like we're not doing anything weird, but yeah, once you do that, you'll just feel confidence start to surge through you. And when you go in, you'll be able to answer better. You'll be able to think more clearly because you're not tightening up, closing yourself off. It's like this weird psychology stuff that as a lawyer, I don't understand, but it works. So go with it. Questions or success stories or anything you've seen with any of this? Cool. Go do it. This is what Leia did before her awesome interview, right? Totally. Yeah, totally. All right. Good. Then I do want to go over just a couple of quick examples of some cover letters. This you can't see, I know, but I'm gonna read it to you. This is a very standard cover letter. This one's okay. This is like when people have to write a cover letter. This is the equivalent of being like, well, mom made me. So let's read this together. Dear hiring manager, your posting on LinkedIn for a sales and marketing coordinator recently caught my eye, and I think you'll find that I'm an exceptional candidate for this position. All right, that's a decent formality, blah, blah, blah. All right, I'm an accomplished administrative professional and junior in the marketing and management program at Oregon University. Over the past 10 years, I've provided high-level support in a variety of industries across multiple functional areas. What do you notice so far?
Very wordy.
It's wordy and it's general. Like, hey, look, I've worked in various industries. That's a terrible word to have in a cover letter. Get into the detail of what industries. Talk about the results. All of this is just, again, this is my parents made me do it. I'm now seeking a position that will make the most of my administrative experience. Again, they don't care. They want to know what you can do for them. So saying like, you're going to really help me along my path in life, most people don't care about. All right. In exchange, I offer exceptional attention to detail, highly developed communication skills, and a talent for managing complex blah, blah, blah. I'm already bored because there's no story or example or results in any of that. It's fine. This is honestly like in the cover letters that I reviewed this morning, I'd say about like half to 60% of them look just like this. And these are from people that should know better, right? For entry-level positions, if you go beyond this, that puts you in the top 10 to 20%, I'd say, easily. Okay, so again, find the details on attached resume, blah, blah, blah. Fine, it's fine. But if you submit this to me as your cover letter this week, this will get you about a C or a B, right? Not what you want. Now this one, ignore the formatting because I had to squish it all together, but let's read the content here together. So this is my good example. All right, it's with great enthusiasm. I might be a little overboard. Like, are you really that enthusiastic? But yeah, it's a little like, I want to take me. All right, but you know, whatever. I can live with that. It's with great enthusiasm that I submit my application for the position of sales coordinator for the CAS project. As an administrative professional with over 10 years experience, I got numbers already. Like, I'm happy. This has already moved up like to at least a B. And I haven't even really started grading this thing yet. All right, with 10 years experience, I know my diverse skills and qualifications will make me an asset to the project team. As you will see from the attached resume, I've built my career in a variety of roles and industries, but now we're gonna get into details. Mostly in small companies where I was not just the admin, but also gatekeeper, technology expert, bookkeeper, and marketer. At least they didn't say like marketing ninja. Okay. Which, yeah, Miranda, Scott's email to me was pretty funny about that. Inside joke, sorry to not let you in. Okay, I'm not only used to wearing many hats, I sincerely enjoy it, I thrive, blah, blah, blah. Great, but nothing super exciting just yet. Okay, in addition to being flexible and responsive, I'm also a fanatic for details, particularly when it comes to presentation. One of my recent projects involved coordinating a 200-page grant proposal. I proofread and edited the narratives, blah, 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 did all this other stuff. The results, a 5-year, $1.5 million grant award. This is story time. This is what I like. It is a little wordy. I'd probably cut out half of those words, but nonetheless, they're getting to the results, and it's a story, and it's interesting. It's the what I can do for you attitude rather than what you can do for me attitude. This is great. This is going to get an A, and if it was submitted to me. Also, don't forget to notice, Caitlin says cheers. The A paper says regards, so just something to keep in mind. All right, unless Edna, you're always okay?
I never say cheers. Cheerio, right?
Okay, good. You belong in America. This is great. Good. Any questions about any of that? All right, so I've got 2 more that are kind of interesting and a little edgy, but I kind of like it. All right, this one I don't like. This one is rubbish. So this one is like, this is the, see you later. This one is the like bare bone. This is a D, just so you know. Like that's garbage. That's they just saw that there was a cover letter required, and so they said, "Dear person, see my resume. See ya." That's horrid. Don't ever do anything like that. This one is interesting though. So let me click on this. And this one has brought a lot of controversy. Here, wait for this ad to get out of the way. Okay, we're gonna read this together. Why are there so many ads? Okay. I know, I need to figure this out. All right, but let me make this a little bigger. It's not getting bigger, it's just making it more weird. All right. Okay, so it says, so this was an email that a kid wrote to an investment banking position. And well, let's go through it together. So My name is blah, and I'm an undergraduate finance student at a university. Yeah, I love this. I met you the summer before last at Smith & Wollensky's in New York when I was touring the East Coast with my uncle named blah. Good intro. Like, we know each other. You know my uncle. Okay. I just wanted to thank you for taking the time to talk with me that night. Cool. I'm writing to inquire about a possible summer internship in your office. This is where it gets good. I'm aware that it's highly unusual for undergraduates from average universities like mine to intern at your highly prestigious Wall Street firm. But nevertheless, I was hoping that you might make an exception. I'm extremely interested in investment banking and would love nothing more than to learn under your tutelage. And this is where it gets good. I have no qualms about fetching coffee, shining shoes, or picking up laundry, and will work for next to nothing. In all honesty, I just want to be around professionals in the industry and gain as much knowledge as I can. But wait, there's more. I won't waste your time inflating my credentials, throwing around exaggerated job titles, or feeding you a line of crap, which you couldn't even spell crap, about my past experience and skill set, blah, blah, blah. The truth is, I have no unbelievably special skills or genius eccentricity. But I do have a near perfect GPA and will work hard for you. I've interned at Merrill Lynch and blah, 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 for whatever it's worth. Okay. I'm currently awaiting admission results for wants to go get a master's in accounting, which I would begin this fall if admitted. I'm also planning on attending law school after my master's program, which we spoke about in New York. I apologize for the blunt nature of my letter, but I hope you seriously consider taking me under your wing this summer. I've attached my resume, blah, blah, blah. And it's interesting because this got posted on some like discussion board type things for Wall Street types. And like half of them were said, I like this guy. Like I like that honesty. Others say, you know, that's just weird. I wouldn't consider that person. They're the snobby types, like probably eating caviar or something. But this guy got the job. Like that's what I want you to know. He ended up getting it just because he was himself. And that I think is pretty important. Sometimes, especially if you look at this formula as some type of like rigid system that I want you to fall under, like I don't want you to get the wrong idea. I think it's absolutely fine to show your own unique personality in your cover letter. And a cover letter is a way to do that. And again, if the application process doesn't ask for a cover letter, like this one didn't, it's just an email. The cover letter is the email, all right? And that's how you put your best foot forward. So have fun with it. Show your, I did this, like, it was my junior year. So I was looking for an internship that year. And I started writing similar to this. And I didn't get interviews for jobs that I thought I would at least get an interview for. And I thought, well, shoot, maybe I shouldn't be so myself. That sounds wrong. You should always be yourself. But I thought maybe I need to just kind of play the game a little bit here. But looking back, I think it worked out fine. I may not have gotten a job at a certain place where my personality didn't fit that business, that corporate job. That's okay with me. Why would I want to work there anyway? I did get, I probably only got half of the interviews that I expected, but of those places, I found a job that I really liked and ended up being good for me. So I see, my conclusion is this is fine. This might actually be really good, depending on how you write it. So have fun with it too. That's my recommendation for you. All right, so get to work, write a good cover letter, bring in the draft on Thursday, and we'll review that in class.
Brother Helton, you